YouTube! What's going on? This is Petey from SupplementReviews.com bringing you the latest video review for a product that's been out for a couple months now. I'm behind on reviewing it. I've actually gone through 2 bottles of it. It's cutting season, and that means that we're going to be reviewing Myokem's follow-up product to the nitramine, the Thermogenic Pyroxamine. This bottle that I have right here will actually be my 3rd one. I took a break from it for a while there. Just getting off some thermo for a while there. Went through 2 bottles, loved it, and I guess I'm going to tell you exactly why here in a second. I got the original version when it first came out. This is the slightly revamped version. The main adjustment was a level of caffeine. Okay, so for the olds of you out there, yes, there's been 2 versions of it. There's been the original and, of course, the elevated caffeine version, which we're going to be using for our review here. So, cosmetically, just take a look at the bottle. It has a slight, I guess, revamp compared to the original one. I don't have the original bottles sitting here still, but regardless, it's not the point. Alright, so there's no taste and mixability of it. It's in a capsule, so we can skip that part of the review here. So diving right on in, looking at the front of the bottle here, it says smooth, clean energy. It's going to crush your appetite, give a euphoric state of mind, accelerate fat loss, I'd hope. It's a thermogenic, and of course give you razor sharp mental focus. Alright, so with that being said, I've had quite a few discussions with Brandon Sotska, the guy that is the owner and the formulator, of course, for Myokem, and we've had some very good discussion on it. He was very excited about this back at the Arnold. I was pumped to see this product actually come to fruition and I guess finally hit the shelves, especially with the great success that nitramine saw right off the bat there. I grilled him pretty good on camera at the Arnold. He comes out swinging, he knows his science, and I had no doubt this is going to be a good product. And seeing the ingredient label, I was pumped to try it, and it did not let me down. Alright, so, starting with the ingredient profile, this is definitely no slouch. There's good science behind it. Don't be surprised if you see this stuff catapult in terms of top sellers, just like Nitramine did on Tiger Fitness, and of course the other sites there. Starting with the top, one of the most, I guess, common ingredients you're going to see in a cutting product, of course, is, looking at the bottle here, Caffeine Anhydrous. Alright, so with this one, a lot of thermogenics can get over the top in terms of how much caffeine they have in there. You get lethargic with lower calories. Of course, they want to make you feel that the product's working, but the problem is sometimes we start adding too much caffeine. You're taking multiple capsules, you're adding a pre-workout in there as well, and of course, whatever else you're doing there and cutting, it can be too much. However, I believe that the amount they have in here is about the perfect dosage in terms of caffeine to give you the edge without putting you over the top. It's in here at 100 milligrams per capsule. I feel that's just right. It gets you going without putting you over the top there, and of course, doesn't give you anxiety from overdosing on the caffeine. So that's good stuff. Picotropin. That may look familiar. It's in a lot of stuff these days. It's a nootropic. This is excellent for that mental focus. It's also in the nitramine. It's been in a few other products. In terms of pre-workouts, that's the new trend, going away from the high amounts of stimulants to more cognitive effects. And I love seeing picotropin in there for mental focus. Okay, that razor sharp focus is partly attributed for this product to the picotropin. All right, it's also got acetylcholine in here. That's interesting to see it in a thermogenic. It's in quite a few pre-workouts. It increases muscle contraction, so that's good stuff to see it in here as well. Theobromine, that's been around for a while. It was in a lot of the old school pre-workouts, just making a comeback. It was taken out for a while there. It's going to be an excellent product for being a vasodilator, increasing, I guess, the circulation of ingredients and products. It's on the way up in terms of making a comeback there, and the interesting part about it is a stimulant in itself that isn't going to have negative effects on the CNS, aka the central nervous system. So I'm pretty pumped to see it back in a thermo. Alright, I guess another thing that's been in a lot of products these days, especially with people wanting harder hitting, less crash-induced pre-workouts, is the Hornidine. And what that's going to do is just going to extend the effect of the stimulants in there, of course the ingredients overall, without adding, I guess, unwanted or unadditional stimulants in there. So it is good to see that in this product. I like seeing it in there. Of course, the tyramine for additional cognition. Once again, this product is huge in terms of increasing the cognitive effects, making you feel good on your cut. So I like seeing that in there as well. Alright, another thing you're going to see in a lot of products, this has been around, since probably about 2008, 2009, so it got really big, the Huperzine A, which is going to increase acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter in the brain. Once again, we're all about that mental cognition. It's been a lot of pre's, gives you that mental focus, that mental edge, so of course, it would make sense to put it in a thermogenic. If you get a little lethargic, it's going to bring your game up, okay, so I like seeing that in there as well. One thing that I've noticed in almost all, actually, not almost, I'm going to say every single one of Myokem's products. Of course, I got the nitramine, and of course, they just released Alpha-Dex and Magnetropin, and as well, of course, as this, they're big on black pepper. The reason you're seeing that in there is not so much a thermogenic effect, but what it does is it's going to increase the bioavailability of all the ingredients, and of course, having that in their products is going to make them, I guess, more bioavailable, more effective, and of course, increase absorption. So, having some good scientifically validated stuff in there, like black pepper, to increase the effectiveness of the ingredients in a product, you know, that's going to be huge. That's good stuff in there. Alright, Rahusaline. It may look really familiar. It's in a lot of stuff these days, aka Alpha Yahimbi. It's Alpha-2 agonist. It's going to have, I guess, the more targeted effects of the alpha agonist without the dirty, I guess, effects that some people get negatively from having Yohimbian products, alright? So it's going to be very similar. Of course, going to be that alpha-2 agonist, increase thermogenesis in there. So that's good to see that in a product. I especially love seeing it in there. It was in the original Oxylate Pro, and it was one of the key ingredients. So having that popular product in a product like this, as well as other pre-workouts, is something that's going to be here to stay. Alright? The Caroluma timbratia, which is going to be, hopefully I pronounced that right. This stuff crushes your appetite pretty well without having, I guess, the effect of making it as dumb as it sounds. It doesn't make you not want to eat, period, which is good, because sometimes a thermogenic can do its job too well in terms of crushing your appetite, and you just don't want to eat, period. You know, you got to have your calories in there, of course, while being in your calorie deficit, but you don't want to go, I guess, over the top in terms of crushing your appetite, because it can almost be too much, and it's I'm not sure how to describe it, because, you know, most people think, like, oh man, I wish I could have the feeling where I could eat like nothing. It would be cutting so much easier. It's not a fun effect. If you just don't feel like eating, period, you know, that's not fun, alright? So, I guess the best way to describe it is something you just kind of have to experience firsthand. Crap, dropped the ball on the floor here. Anyway, it's just not fun. All right, so what it does here is it's going to crush the appetite, control it without, I guess, putting it over the top. Regardless. Anyway, moving down the list here, olive leaf. That's, of course, in a bunch of other thermogenics here. The main reason you see that is it's going to provide some thyroid support, going to increase the circulation of T3. It's also going to have positive effects on cholesterol, and of course, it's going to have it helps with glucose management. So it's not only in thermogenics, it's in a few other products, I guess, for general health, and I like seeing the inclusion in here. It's been in a few other ones. Oh crap, what was the other one? Oh, goodness gracious, it's in the other popular thermo that's been around for a while. Anyway, Recreate from USP Labs. This is one of the first products I saw this in a few years ago. It's, once again, it's another product that's making its way, I guess, on the upswing in terms of making a comeback. There's a lot of positive effects. It kind of got shelved for a while, and I'm glad to see it making its way back, okay? So anyway, moving on from there. Oh, goodness gracious. It's late at night. I'm having trouble pronouncing crap. So anyway, I should put on my glasses too. Bacopa Maneri extract. Anyway, sorry for the long pause. I should probably record this in the morning, but hey, we're on a roll recording. Anyway, what that is, it's going to be another nootropic, and it's also going to provide an anti-anxiety effect. The big thing that a lot of thermogenics can have an issue with, because it puts you over the top in terms of stimulants, is it's going to give you bad anxiety. All right, if anybody has used clenbuterol, you know, the research chemical, you know exactly what I mean by having something that's, I guess, too strong in terms of stimulants, in terms of putting you over top, in terms of anxiety. The nice part about this is it's going to have the benefits of having a stimulation for the mental cognition without putting you over the top in terms of anxiety. What this does is, additionally, in terms of not going over the top in terms of the stimulants included, is it's going to provide the anti-anxiety effect. Maybe I should have took some of this before I did this video, and I could calm down a bit, because, yeah, anyway, I like the inclusion in there. It's a unique ingredient, so props to them in this. And of course, last but not least, Evodia rudicarpa. Alright, what that is going to be is going to give you the thermogenic effect. Now, holy crap, the first few days I used this, I was like, what is in this stuff? Because, you know, I just kind of got it, I was pumped to try it, started taking it, and of course, then I actually got a chance to sit down, look up all this stuff, and that's why we have this very thorough review. This stuff will make you sweat buckets. Alright, it's a very good thermogenic. I like the inclusion here. In terms of putting in this product, I'm making sure I didn't miss anything before I move on. Yep, okay, we are good to go there. Anyway, and I love seeing it in there, okay? I just want to make sure cover everything before I talk about this. It is, I guess, one of the most unique thermo products that I've seen for a while. There's emerging science, there's, I guess, increasingly compiled studies supporting the effectiveness of using this as a thermo. So I like seeing it in there. I'm glad I saw the inclusion of it. And I feel it was a good choice because it's very unique. It isn't overdone like some of the other things in there. They don't try to stuff the ballot with green tea as a thermo or a, I guess, a natural transporter for thermogenesis. What they got here is, like I said, a very unique thermo. You will sweat buckets, especially if you compound it with other stuff in here like additional caffeine, yohimbe, whatever else may be. I mean, you'd be surprised in your pre-workouts you're taking these days just how much, I guess, thermogenic properties there are. Like if you have a lot of thermos, that's not strict thermos, but I guess pre-workouts with stuff in here that have stuff like yohimbe, alpha yohimbe, it's gonna be a lot, okay? So do keep in mind this is a very powerful thermo in terms of not so much the stimulant, which is nice because it makes it stackable, but in terms of thermogenic effect, okay? You may sweat buckets. You're going to get uncomfortably warm if you don't control how much other stuff you're taking along with this, all right? So with that being said, strictly talking with this, I always stacked it with pre-workout just because I'm a stim junkie, and it was nice because it didn't put me over the top. The caffeine was kept in check. It focused more on nootropics and a good positive mental cognition feel rather than trying to go to top of stims. So that was nice. Alright, so now, with that being said, transitioning from the ingredient profile, we're going to rate that first. The ingredient profile of the stuff, I just think he killed it. They sat down, they did a lot of good thinking on this, and it's one of the most complete thermogenic profiles that I've seen in a while. Okay, I was very pleased with it. I'm glad that it was true to the word of what they were talking about, what they were thinking about putting in there. I believe originally, when we were talking about this back at the Arnold, is that it has some similar ingredients in terms of cognition and mental focus to the nitramine. And I believe a capsule of the pyroxamine would have about the same stimulant and cognition effect as about a half a scoop of the nitramine. I feel that's about on par. So, with that being said, in terms of ingredient profile, dosage, and of course the 3 capsule max per day, I feel there's a good balance here, and it's going to get a very, very, very solid rating here of a 9.6 out of 10 in terms of ingredient profile. They killed it here. Alright, now for the thermogenic effects. Alright, it's going to depend on your calorie deficit, it's going to depend on your training style, it's going to depend on a variety of factors here. However, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It crushes your appetite without overdoing it. There's a nice smooth focus throughout the day. You don't get anxiety on it here. It gives you the thermogenic effect, and of course your calorie deficit will determine exactly how much weight is lost in the duration of taking this product. With that being said, I loved it. I was on a very, very modest calorie deficit here. I started my cut at about 225, and about roughly 10 weeks later, I guess what I'd say, from running through 2 bottles of this, started with 1 to 2 capsules a day, so bumped it up, added a few days. Instead of having 8 weeks, it was 10 weeks. I was down to about 216. So a very, like I said, a very slow, controlled calorie deficit, okay? And I got at about 215, so roughly 10 pounds lost. All fat, of course, being in a very, very controlled one. I didn't start at a very high body fat to begin with because I kept it pretty lean on a bulk. I hate cutting, so I'd rather keep it leaner and not have as much to cut when that cut rolls around there, okay? So I thought it was effective. It did exactly what was promised, and it didn't go over the top and try to be something it's not. In terms of value, you're never going to need to exceed 3 capsules a day. Of course, it's got the standard 60 capsules per bottle, so if you're rocking through 3, that's going to last you 20 days. If you're using of course 3, you need 2 bottles in there. That'll put you at 120 capsules, and click. That'll put you in at a solid 40 days. Alright, hope I didn't mess up my math there. 120 divided by 3, 40, kaboom. Alright, yay, I passed math. Anyway, I like the value here. Effectiveness wise, it's very solid, does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's going to get a 9.3. And of course, for value here, I'd like to see 90 capsules per bottle rather than 60. However, the ingredients were not skimped upon, so that makes up for that. So it's going to get a very, very solid 9.4. Overall for this product, this is going to be one of my top recommendations for 2014 in terms of having a thermogenic. If you're looking for a new thermo to try with a well-rounded ingredient profile, well-rounded in terms for effectiveness, how it feels, and of course thermogenic effect, look no further than Pyroxamine. This is going to be one of my top recommendations. It's my top pick so far for 2014 in terms of a new thermo and thermos overall. I'm very happy with what we got here. I'm pumped to see exactly the extended effects on the third run here, or the third bottle, especially with those slightly increased caffeine version here compared to the previous one. So, if you're looking for a new thermo, give it a check. Check out Pyroxamine, see what it can do for you. Be careful stacking it with nitramine. That's going to be a little over top in terms of stimulant effects, orthoneopre. Just keep that in mind there, but I think you'll like it. Alright everybody, this has been Petey with a long overdue review for Pyroxamine from Myokem. So, check it out, get your cut on, have a good summer, and of course, thanks for tuning in. Alright everybody, have a good night, see ya.